It's been one full year since Persona 3 Reload came out. That's 1 year of getting lost in the giant Jenga tower of death that is Tartarus, 1 year of summoning personas in questionable ways, and 1 year of some questions being debated in the Persona community. Did Atlus really succeed with Persona 3 Reload? Is it a worthy successor to Persona 3 FES and Portable? Is it even good? Well, guess what? I'm here to drop my controversial take that, honestly, really shouldn't be controversial at all. Persona 3 Reload succeeded spectacularly, and it's the version we should be recommending to anyone new to the series. But let's unpack that and why that's the case, and why it's okay to still like other versions of Persona 3. First though, a quick crash course for the uninitiated. There is a big family of Persona 3s out there. The original Shin Megami Tensei Persona 3 that came out on the PS2 is really when Persona 3 started to develop its own identity with the calendar system and social links. Then we got Persona 3 FES. This was an upgraded version of Persona 3, which included an epilogue called The Answer. Then we've got Persona 3 Portable, which was a trimmed down version of Persona 3 for the PSP, with additions like a female protagonist route, but it did not contain the epilogue from FES. And there's a lot more to these versions that we'll touch on a little bit later in the discussion. I just wanted to catch everyone up to speed. Also, I think there was a Persona 3 version on the DS as well, but we don't really talk about that one in this discussion, so I won't be going into detail on that one today. And then most recently we have Persona 3 Reload for modern consoles, minus the Switch of course, which is a remake with upgraded graphics and enhanced story and gameplay. Now, how does this all pertain to if Persona 3 was successful and the overall debate on if it's actually any good? Don't worry, we're getting there, I promise, just hang with me. First, let's talk a little bit more about Reload though. Now, Persona 3 Reload isn't just a fresh coat of paint, but can we actually stop and acknowledge that it does have new paint and it looks amazing? The cut-in animations and the little animations they do when you pass a turn to a teammate, and those beautiful all-out attack screens that are an explosion of color. I would constantly replay battles to see all three of these things in action non-stop. Not to mention the UI for the menus in typical Atlus fashion looks just straight up mind-boggling. This is modern Persona and it is stunning. It's a masterclass in modernizing without losing the actual soul of the original. The gameplay additions and the revamp to our favorite tower Tartarus, I can say that now because I do like Tartarus better from playing Reload. It all feels familiar, but also upgraded in the right kind of way. There's also a new voice cast, which I was nervous about at first, but quickly after I was sold by every performance. Special shout out to Akihiko's voice actor. I was really hesitant about his in particular, but he sold it. He just has that bro-y voice that really fits with our lovable meathead protein boxer. All these things come together to bring Persona 3 into the modern era in a flashy and stylish way. Before Reload, when a newcomer wanted to dive into Persona 3, it was a challenge to point them in the right direction. The two major options were Persona 3 FES and Persona 3 Portable. FES, which captures the dark setting and themes that are present in P3, a true sense of dread and despair. It has animated cutscenes that even today look jaw-dropping. It really drives home the atmosphere of the game. But the major perceived flaw, I personally didn't mind it that much, but it was the lack of party control, as well as it being dated for graphics and the difficulty still showing some of that Shin Megami Tensei roots. Persona 3 Portable, however, streamlined a lot of those gameplay mechanics and gave you full party control, while also giving the graphics a bump up and overall a higher saturation in colors. It also gave us FemC, which was a female protagonist route option for the story, with new social links and the ability to learn more about your male teammates. The perceived downside with this is that since it was designed for the PSP, they had to remove the anime cutscenes, as well as the 3D models when walking around. However, in Tartarus you still had the 3D models. It took more of a visual novel approach, which some people like and some people don't like. All this to say, Persona 3 was divisive. Persona 3 Reload takes a lot of the good from both of these games and adds things of its own. No, it doesn't have FemC from P3P, and it's not quite as dark and gritty as FES. And it does make you pay an additional $30 for that epilogue from FES. But I don't think that means it failed by any means. I imagine Atlus's goal with this project was to make it easier for people to experience Persona 3. And I think they succeeded. I would argue that based on someone's preferences, Persona 3 Reload isn't just the best entry point for Persona 3, but even Persona in general. Part of the reason I say this is because I love Persona 5 Royal, but throwing someone into a 120-hour game is daunting. So to have a modern Persona experience at almost half the playtime, that's a lot easier to digest. Also, in a world where games like Final Fantasy VII are being remade into a 3-part series, I'm just glad we got a full package on one disc. Let's not ignore the elephant in the velvet room though. I just said Persona 3 Reload is the best way for new fans to experience Persona 3. What some may have heard is Persona 3 Reload is good, FES and Portable are bad and shouldn't be played. I don't agree with that either. Persona 3 FES was my first Persona game. It's what got me hooked into the series. I also loved Portable for just how snappy and charming it was. I think if you love Persona 3, these are great ways to experience the story in different ways, almost as enhancers, and I highly encourage you to check those out if you haven't played them. And if you have played FES and Portable, Reload isn't about replacing FES or Portable, it's about standing alongside them. Even if Reload isn't your favorite, that doesn't mean it failed as a remake. It might just mean that you have a special place in your heart for FES and Portable, and that's okay. So, 1 year later, was Persona 3 Reload reloaded or did it misfire? It was a direct hit. For me, it set the bar for how I want a remake to be done, and I hope we get more like this in the future. Heck, I'll take a Persona 4 Rewind. That'd be awesome. Because at the end of the day, the more Persona the better, in my opinion. Now I want to hear from you. Which version of Persona 3 do you love the most? Did Reload succeed? Before you go though, this was my first JRPG video I've actually dove into, and I'd like to do more of these if you're interested. Let me know by, I've got to say that YouTuber thing, don't I? Maybe I can put a cool spin on it to make it a little less cringy. Summon your persona and evoke that sub button. Somehow I think I made it worse. Subscribe if you want to see more Persona and JRPG videos.